Interfaith dialogue is when people from different religions come together to strengthen community ties and bridge social divides. Many people say interfaith dialogue is the best method for combating intolerance and forging valuable connections between our broader communities. I thought so too. And I thought it was important to figure out how it actually works and how we can make it better. So in June 2014, I traveled to Rome, Italy, to learn more specifically about what interfaith dialogue can change and how. This is the story of an ethnographic study of interreligious dialogue in Rome and in the Middle East, detailing how diverse religious groups engage with each other in their search for stronger communities and shared visions of a better future. Ah, Roma, la città eterna. You could say it's a pretty Roman Catholic town, except for the fact that it's also statistically the least Catholic city in Italy, where, although Catholic affiliation may be high, only 25.4% of Italians actually practice the religion. But Rome is historically also a crossroads of East and West. It is a place where, according to various archaeological records and Mary Beard, an expert on ancient Rome, cultural, ethnic, and religious diversity have existed since the empire, although ancient Roman multiculturalism looked pretty different from modern ideals of cosmopolitan pluralism. Recently, in the decades since the 1970s, millions of people from many countries and religions have flooded into Italy. This has resulted in political and cultural debates about integration, increasing rates of discrimination against foreigners, and a profound change in the social fabric of the once homogeneous Italian peninsula. In many ways, modern Rome is not a city that makes life easy for her citizens. So, Romans who want to use interfaith dialogue to build a healthier, better functioning cosmopolitan capital have a lot of challenges to fight. Italian interfaith dialogue started after the Second Vatican Council, a church-wide assembly that introduced Nostra Aetate, a declaration on the relation of the church to non-Christian religions, which acknowledged the validity of other traditions and professed that it is contrary to Roman Catholicism to discriminate on the basis of race, religion, or social class. Since then, there's been a steady increase of interfaith dialogue organizations in Rome. Some are founded within institutions like the Vatican and the Roman city government. Some are nonprofit associations, and some are grassroots groups, or dialogo di base. Collectively, this interfaith society, as they call the constellation of interfaith dialogue associations in Rome, draws on a variety of forms of dialogue to promote their values of unity and social change. Everything from running community blood drives, to holding academic conferences, to more ceremonial and spiritual affairs, to civic integration initiatives, to social gatherings, and to making art and music together. I spent about a year hanging out in the offices of Confronti, an Italian magazine about politics, society, and interreligious dialogue. Confronti was founded in 1989, and its history and creative activities are historical products of Italian social diversification and the Church's evolution from ecumenical efforts into today's interfaith society. I also traveled with a group of Confronti journalists to the Middle East to make contact with interfaith organizations and was able to interview 25 Muslims, Christians, and Jews who practice dialogue in Israel and Palestine. These interviews really help show the difference geographical and socio-political context can make in the practice of dialogue. It also shows that dialoguers everywhere tend to speak of dialogue in very similar ways. They speak of their goals in terms of humanizing the other, striving for mutual recognition, and using dialogue to restructure historical consciousness or break cultural cycles of stereotyping and objectification. Encounters across religious difference are found to require intention, leadership, and repetition in order to establish a safe haven, a peaceful space for encountering different ideas and cultural norms. These practices are best understood not by attempting a concrete measurement of their success, but framed as shared sacred values that bind together the interfaith society. In order to better explain the interfaith society, I turned to French sociologist Émile Durkheim, who wrote theories about how societies could maintain their integrity and coherence in the modern era. Durkheim wrote that values form the moral basis of society, and that religion was a source of camaraderie and solidarity. Durkheim defined religion as a unified system of beliefs and practices relative to sacred things, which unite into one single moral community called a church. Similarly, I describe interreligious dialogue as a unified system of beliefs and practices relative to sacred values, which unite people from multiple religions into one single moral community. The repeated communal invocation of these sacred values signifies to the members of the community that they belong to the collective, solidifying also awareness of who is not in their group. So, what did I find out about what interfaith dialogue can change in the world? How can we know if it's making a clear impact? Well, I actually found that interfaith dialogue cannot be understood by looking for metrics, but rather by examining its practices and asking what they mean for interfaithers. In both the Middle East and Rome, dialogue is revealed to be mostly a process of building meaningful relationships. To understand it, you have to look at all of the stories, interconnections, and experiences that populate this moral community. You can't understand interfaith dialogue by asking, "Where's the beef?" or by valuing it according to its measurable impact. That's because the product of the dialogue is the dialogue itself. Kind of like the destination is the journey. In Rome, interfaithers promote dialogue in the hopes of restoring Rome to its ancient status as the golden crossroads of civilization. It is their hope that the interfaith dialogue movement will be seen by the world, so that, when in Rome, and wherever anywhere else, people will do dialogue as these Romans do.